It is the one and only Michael Guest, Congressman from the 3rd District. How are you, sir?
Great.
I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yes, sir. It was great to be home. Been home the last several weeks, and we'll be home through the election. So get to sleep in my bed, see my family every day. So
are you on call now? So I mean, what's the deal here? Where are we with the Madam Queen?
You know, Queen Pelosi is still in negotiations with the administration as to whether or not we are going to have a vote on an additional stimulus package.
Yeah.
Those negotiations, the timeline for those negotiations to end was actually yesterday, but as I understand through official news media sources, not through anything related to the office, those negotiations are still in the process of possibly bearing fruit, and so we'll see. But all members are on 24-hour call, yeah. And so if an agreement is reached, we are to be prepared to fly to Washington very quickly to cast a vote.
How fast can you can get there for tomorrow's vote?
Yes, if they were to announce today that we'd be in Washington tomorrow, yeah. I would be leaving out first thing tomorrow morning, headed that way.
Michael, how's flying now? Has it changed a little bit? Is it getting a little bit better?
You know, it is. Very early on, Paul, the number of flights shrunk dramatically, so it was often very difficult to get to Washington, D.C. and back. The direct flight from Jackson to D.C. Has not existed now since I guess about April. That flight was canceled. Hope to eventually get that back. You know, very early there was nobody flying, and so I would be on a plane with about half a dozen other people. But we've really seen now people begin to start traveling by air again. I've seen the planes become much more crowded. I think some of that is because there are fewer flights, so you're having more people fly on these the flights that are available. But we are seeing people come back. And we're seeing, I think, the economy continue to come back. I think people are no longer scared like they once were to be able to travel and be around other individuals.
Well, and I played this a little bit earlier, but it bears playing once again. The differences in these two decisions, the decision we're going to make is radical, more so now than ever before, on everything from military to the border to the economy itself, because what Biden is basically saying is we got to shut this thing down, and he said that we have to shut it down. But real quick clip.
Let's talk about offshore drilling for oil.
So would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Do you ban plastic straws?
I think we should.
We are saying that we're going to end factory farming because that is a danger to the environment and to climate change.
Coal-burning plants. No one's going to build another coal-burning. We've got to shut the ones down we have, but no one is going to build a new one. We have to take combustion engine vehicles off the road as rapidly as we can.
I haven't heard the factory farming in a long time. I have no idea where, and Bernie's going to be a big player if Biden is elected.
Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, I mean, you can expect that the progressive left the progressive left is going to aggressively push their agenda through President Biden, through Nancy Pelosi, through Chuck Schumer. And so you're right. You know, we always talk about this election being the most important election of our lifetime, and that's really every election. But if you look at the contrast between a Trump second-term administration versus a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris administration, there is a wide gap between a huge crevice, if you will, but between what each of those administrations would seek to lead our country.
Just seems like centrifugal force pulling us toward socialism, pulling us toward Venezuela. And it just seems like this is the last gasp. Can we hold off 4 more years before the next election? And maybe not. I don't know. Sometimes I hear somebody says, well, hang on, don't give up on millennials as they age because they may be more conservative than the past generation. And I hold some hope in that. I really do, to get back to patriotism. But as far as your across-the-hall neighbor, she's still doing pretty good?
You know, I don't see her very often. She doesn't come into the office quite as much as she used to. No, sir. I think she's seeking out the publicity of the media versus actually showing up at work and doing the things that the taxpayers of New York elected her to do.
She has lots of things to say.
We win in November. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to tell you, you're not going back to brunch. We're not going back to brunch. That's not happening. Unless you're doing a little self-care break in your house, especially, etc. But there is no going back after November.
First of all, we don't do brunch here for the most part.
No, that's not a thing in Mississippi. We do breakfast, we do lunch. We're working during brunch. You know, we don't have time to sit around and eat breakfast in the middle of the day.
Congressman Michael Guest is my guest. The markers between these two bills, the president actually is asking for more than Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is asking for $500 billion. But Trump says he would like to go on and do it a little bit more than that. Where are we with Nancy Pelosi and what she's working on now? You know,
the negotiations between the administration and Nancy Pelosi, those are kind of being done behind closed doors.
So you really don't know.
No, I don't. And in addition to the overall dollar amount, you know, the other thing that's going to be important is, you know, what things are Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats going to try to put in this bill that are non-COVID related?
Yeah. Well, that's been the problem so far.
That's right. You know, in addition to the price tag and the additional money that would be added to the national debt, you know, they're looking at things such as allowing illegal immigrants to receive stimulus payments. They're seeking to let criminals out of jail, to bail out failing pension plans. They're seeking $1 trillion for state and local governments. They're looking to change our election law.
Is that the because it was over $1 trillion? It was $1.5 trillion. Have they modified that as far trying to bail out the pension plans of places like California and New York and Illinois?
Yes, or Chicago. You know,
Chicago's in bad shape.
All of these failing pension plans, which have been run by members of the Democratic Party, now they're seeking the federal government to bail those pension plans out, and they have paid out extraordinary benefits to their employees. And so while Mississippi has done a good job of managing their pension plans, making reasonable payments to retirees, you know, they now want the federal government to come in and bail out the bad decisions that they've made. And so, you know, and the last bill that Nancy Pelosi put on also included cuts for law enforcement. And so you look at the overall price tag of the bill, that is one thing that needs to be taken into consideration. But what other bad policies is Nancy Pelosi trying to jam through in the form of stimulus?
Which of your colleagues are you worried about as far as their race right now that you highlight and you look and say, geez, they need some help?
As far as House races?
Yeah, House races.
You know, Will Hurd in Texas retired. He was down in South Texas, right there on the border with Mexico. So that is an open seat. It's going to be a very tough race for Republicans to hold that seat.
Who's running?
I can't recall the name of the individual who is running in that race. Rodney Davis represents Southern Illinois. He had a very close race 2 years ago, won by just about 1,000 votes, and so they're really coming after him, pouring a lot of money into that race, but really paying a lot of attention to the Senate races because it is so vitally important that we maintain that firewall in the United States Senate. I feel very confident that Cindy Hyde-Smith will be reelected. She's had a tough race, but I think she has done well. Everything that I'm hearing, it looks like that the race is going to be fairly close to where it was 2 years ago. Yeah. You know, but if you look in the Senate, we will, being Republicans, pick up a seat in Alabama. Former coach Tommy Tuberville will soon be Senator Tommy Tuberville. I believe that Republicans are going to lose Arizona. We're going to lose Colorado. I think we have a good chance to lose Maine. We've got seats such as Iowa, North Carolina, Georgia, which are really just toss-up seats where those seats could go either way. I tell you what I believe could possibly happen is, you know, in Georgia we've got 2 Senate seats, just like we had in Mississippi a couple years ago because we have a special election. That race will go to a runoff. That seat is currently held by Kelly Loefflinger, but the focus of the United States Senate in January could turn to Georgia.
To Georgia or Mississippi, for that matter, couldn't it?
Well, you know, the Mississippi race will be over in November, but that special election will go into January.
And then it depends on who the vice president is, too.
That's exactly right. Vice president breaks a tie.
That's not good news.
No.
You've looked at some of the numbers, too, as far as the Senate is concerned, so it's a very viable chance that Chuck Schumer could hold the gavel.
And very likely we could have a 50-50 Senate.
More. I hope you brought something else like fruit or candy or something else, because that's not very enthusiastically making our morning here, but it is reality. We'll talk more. New Gallo poll. How does the majority of Americans think about Amy Coney? Or Amy Coney Bear.